So that brings me beautifully onto our first speaker of the day. It is someone very exciting. Yesterday we had Sir Martin Sorrell. This time we have a brand that is heavily associated with Latin America. They've just had a restructure. They've got a new agency, and they've got a whole new marketing philosophy, which I hope you will find out all about now. And to bring that to life is Mauricio Vergara, who is the CMO for North America Bacardi. Please, let's give him a warm welcome to the stage.
Thank you, John. Well, hello, everyone. Good morning. It's great to be here. And it's very exciting to be here, not only talking about people that are very knowledgeable and influencers about Latin American media, but I think that now in today's world, these and the thoughts I want to share with you transcend Latin America, and it's the way that brands need to start engaging with the world and with today's consumers. So that's what I want to talk about with you today, which is, I think that the time's about just talking to consumers and trying to build some brand awareness and the typical approach to marketing, that's gone. And you have been hearing, I'm sure, about that a lot. The message I want to give you is that for me, and the thought and the new approach of marketing we're taking at Bacardi, the question we're asking ourselves is, how do we really succeed in embedding and ingraining our brands into culture? So it's not anymore about, let's have some advertising going. It's how do our brands become part of the lifestyle and the day-to-day life of our consumers. Now, in order to do that, the first thing we need to keep in mind as marketeers, as media guys, as advertising agencies is, what defines culture? And defines culture doesn't mean, and we don't have to go who's the new celebrity, or we shouldn't never start there. We should start in really understanding what happens in the day-to-day life of our consumers. How do they live their lives? Through culture, through food, through art, through language. What are their beliefs, their traditions? And then find, depending on our brand, what are the ways we can ingrain our brand and really embed it in the different elements in culture. Not any brand is going to be able to tap in all of those, but depending on what is it that we want to stand for, we might choose some of those elements of culture to ingrain our brands. And this is actually, for me, fundamental. The world has changed, and the time about talking to consumers, I think, is gone. And I think that more and more brands that keep on approaching their marketing strategies, their communication strategies in what's the message I want to give to my consumers, they're going to fail. If we really want to build relevant brands, brands that drive desire, brands that become actually part of culture, we need to start talking with consumers, engage in a conversation. This will put a lot of marketers out of their comfort zone, because this means actually letting go of some of the messaging and let consumers actually do some of the messaging for ourselves as brand owners. At the end, the biggest challenge I think that as marketers we have nowadays is making consumers want to engage with us, with our brands. They can actually go from Spotify to Netflix to YouTube and never see a piece of advertisement. The new generations, a lot of them can go days without even being exposed to a piece of advertising. So we need to start changing the mindset in terms of advertising to content, relevant content that our consumers really want to consume, that want to engage with, because they're going to choose it. So at the end, that was going to start transforming the way advertising agencies think, the way us as clients, as brand owners, brief agencies in a way that, what is the real brief? How do we engage with our media and advertising agencies to create relevant content that our consumers want to engage with? This is a very important thought. I remember just even not many years ago, a few years ago, as brand owners, we always said, what is the point of view of the brand? What's your point of view as a brand? I think that the times of point of view are gone. And now it's, what is really the purpose of the brand? What is the role of the brand in the consumer's life? If we really want to have brands that become iconic brands, big brands, either you play a role in the day-to-day life of consumers, or you're going to lose relevance, or not become relevant at all. So if you think about our industry, the spirits industry, how do we really understand the different consumption occasions, or the different occasions in the day-to-day life of consumers in which they socialize, when they have actually a meeting, or a party, or a dinner, or casual hanging out with some friends? So which are the occasions in their day-to-day life, And how do we understand those moments and have a purpose, have a role in those people's life to make those moments better? If we don't understand what is our purpose there, we will not be able to become relevant for our consumers. And the other thing is the voice. The voice is really important. If we don't understand how our consumers speak nowadays, and by speak meaning, what is the type of language, what is the type of expressions, what are the type of music they're looking at, and we really keep on talking to them as this brand is this external entity that doesn't really understand the attitude and the way that consumers talk nowadays, we won't be able to succeed about ingraining that branding culture, which takes me to this slide. These are some of the, I think, some of them already very established artists. But as you can see, even if, let's take Swizz Beatz as an example, even though he's a very relevant, extremely successful, powerful musician, he transcends his art. He's experimenting with art. He's doing a lot of art and really ingraining his brand name in other elements of culture. So I think even though now, big artists, people that really understand and are part of the new millennials lifestyle are transforming and are actually acting in different elements of culture to really connect with the new generations. It's not enough just to have a very single-minded approach in terms of how we connect with our consumers. As brands, and this is just an example of the type of work and the type of partnerships we're exploring as Bacardi, how do we identify key influencers, people that really have their personality or their point of view or their art or their approach rooted in modern culture, so we can partner with them to drive influence for our brands. So the typical type of sponsorship in the past, the celebrity endorsement, we have to evolve from that and really say, what are the different ways in which we can partner with influencers in a way that is relevant, and the most important word in that slide would be authentic, so we can actually create content that consumers want to engage with our brands. And if we're able to do that successfully, and I'm going to share a couple of business case studies here with our brands, we will be able to have a conversation with our consumers. And they will be wanting to join that conversation with us as brands. And at the end, this is also critical for us. It's not about advertising anymore, it's about content. And how do we create content with brands or for our brands that consumers are going to be willing to engage with, because that content is related to their lifestyle. It's about music, or it could be about sports, which are the passion platforms, which are the elements in which our consumers live their day-to-day life. They look for content related, let's say, to music, and then how is our brand ingrained in the music conversation in a way that, yes, gives the point of view of the brand, that our brand has a point of view on music, but actually we're talking about music. We're not talking about our brand anymore. And that's its nuance, but it makes a huge difference in the way consumers are going to actually relate to what we have to say. I remember the days in which we went to an agency, an advertising agency, and said, I need a 30-second ad, I'll leave 2 15s, maybe 2 prints, 5 billboards, and then went to the media agency and say, okay, my media plan, 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out, some hiatus, there I have GRPs, reach, frequency. This is the way our media plans now in Bacardi are looking like. And you can see 2 very strong streams. The one on top, content. I want to spend some time there in terms of content. The other key thing that we're doing here is how do we partner with publishers, such as Vice, or other types of partners such as Spotify or Condé Nast or the big publishers in the industry, and say, okay, based on the type of storytelling you're giving and the messaging I want to give for my brands, what is the type of content we can generate together that is relevant for the target audience, that captures the essence of my brand, and then go actually and work with our media partners and say, how do we distribute that content? But we have to start by first understanding what is the lifestyle of our consumers, with what medias, in what platforms, in what channels are they living their day-to-day life, and then go back and say, what is the content to put in those media platforms, and then actually create the assets and the messaging that actually plays into that content. So that actually is going to change a lot of the behaviors we have as clients and as brands. Our budgets are going to be shaped totally different from just investing in producing a big TV ad to maybe producing tons of different ways of or forms of content so we can deliver it in a relevant way for our consumers. And at the end, this is part of the outcome we're expecting. If we do this right, we should be able to create desire for our brands and the new definition of equity. And this is a new way of thinking. When we think about equity of our brand, it should be, yes, how familiar the consumer is with our brands, but how strong is our ability to create desire for our brands. If you think about the past, we were talking about metrics such as brand awareness and top of mind. I think those are not relevant anymore though that is not translated into people wanting and desiring our brands. And the second part, the one on below there, it's more related to our industry, the spirits industry, because we live in different moments, different occasions. And depending on the occasion, if you're, let's say, by the beach today, you might need to choose between a beer or a Bacardi Mojito. So what is going to drive that preference? But maybe at night, you're thinking about between a Grey Goose Martini or having a glass of wine. So how do we really ingrain ourselves into your moment, understand that moment, and are able to change your preference and your decision because we were relevant as a brand for that moment, for that occasion? And we need to start getting a lot more discipline because with that fragmentation of media and messaging, if we're not able to really measure how are we translating that messaging into brand performance and at the end growth and return on investment, then this can be a very dangerous, let's say, approach to marketing and media because there could be a lot of waste. So I think now with Google Analytics and a lot of the data that is available right now for us, we should be able and very disciplined as marketers to be tracking and really be measuring what is happening, not what happened last month or last week, what's happening now. Is it trending? Is my message really connecting now? And do I have different edits or different versions of my messaging that I can be modifying live to actually maximize the impact and the way consumers are engaging with my message and therefore maximize my return on investment. So I want to share with you, it's going to be 3 videos in total. This first one is about a case of Bombay Sapphire, our gin, and how are we ingraining that brand in culture through art. So I'm going to play the video, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about it.
In a declining gin market, Bombay Sapphire set its sight on the multicultural consumer as a key growth driver that hadn't been engaged with a cohesive communication strategy. We realized that our target, the urban elite, are constantly searching to expand their cultural repertoire. Since Bombay Sapphire had a long-standing history in the art world, we found the territory to build a natural connection with them. But we didn't have the dollars to speak to them broadly, so we decided to target a niche audience, influencers. By leveraging our consumers' passion for art, we tapped into the artist community and enlisted them as influencers. In 2010, we partnered with Russell and Danny Simmons' Rush Philanthropic Arts Foundation, and the Bombay Artisan Series was born. A national competition to find the next big name in visual arts was launched. Digital banners called for artist entries. BombayArtisan.com showcased the artist's work and encouraged consumers to vote for their favorite pieces. We also raised awareness of the event through social media. The event launched at the local level where one winner from each key market was selected to exhibit in Miami during Art Basel. The program that provided artists a national platform to share their imaginative work took off. It began as an African-American campaign in 2010 and grew year after year to become a multicultural program in 2011 and a global platform for the brand in 2012. In 2012, 5 celebrity filmmakers were paired with a winning artist to create a series of short films. A 60-minute documentary about the artist was aired on the nationally broadcasted Ovation Network and is now in plans for global distribution. The success of the program was measured with submissions, votes, and impressions. The Bombay Artisan Series won the International Spirits Challenge for Best Experiential and Best Overall Marketing Program in 2012 and is now considered as a best practice among Bacardi USA. Most importantly, artists and art lovers now look forward to the program every year as it's weaved itself into the art world and the culture of the urban elite.
So this is just a very good example on how we're taking a brand. This brand doesn't have TV communication or typical traditional media communication at all. We're gaining share. We're becoming the market leader in the gin market in the US, by far overtaking competition just by being able to ingrain the brand in culture through arts in a credible, authentic way and doing relevant partnerships in a way that consumers really want to consume that content, engage with that, use influencers in a way that it spread the word in a credible way. You saw the artwork that Jay-Z bought. That gets actually a lot of presence, a lot of credible messaging around it, a lot of social noise around it that is relevant for the brand and gives the brand credibility. There's a lot of work behind the scenes on this, and how do we relate art to what gin, and in this case Bombay Sapphire, stands for, but we can actually start having a purpose in consumers' life. So that's a good example on how we took art as a part of culture and started using it to build a brand like Bombay. This is another example, another quick video on Grey Goose, and then I'm going to share a few thoughts on that too.
I'm Sean Thomas, and this is Local Flight. This summer, Grey Goose is sending me across the country to discover extraordinary bartenders and purveyors. We'll share their stories as they work together to create innovative cocktails using unique local ingredients. Check out the first episode right now, and join me all season long right here on Tastemade.
So on this one, on Grey Goose, we had a partnership with Tastemade.com, created as, I think we're now in episode 3. The episodes are, I think, 12, 18 minutes long, and the consumers really engage with that content. The most important thing I want to highlight here is not even the number of views, it's the 30% higher brand recall and engagement that normal TV ads had. So we started comparing the content creation that we did here through that partner, compare that against what happened normally with a TV ad, and the brand recall and the engagement from the brand with the consumer is way higher. And then the bottom part, I think, is one of the most important, because we actually took some of our key accounts, our customers, some bars and restaurants, and actually gave them visibility through those series in terms of where the bartenders went and create those cocktails, and that actually drove a lot of our business and had a very strong commercial impact for our key accounts, for our customers. So creating a bigger, actually, program just than a piece of advertising through creating relevant content, linking it to a commercial objective, and engaging with consumers in that way. So these are just 2 examples on how we're using our brands and partnering with some publishers or different types of partners to create ways of connecting with our consumers and ingraining our brands into their culture. So finally, to close, I'm going to share with you a video, and this is almost like a preview on what's going to be happening with our Bacardi brand in the next couple of weeks. So I hope you like it. This is actually quite new, and it's the new, let's say, Bacardi way of communicating with our consumers.
Shake your ass. Them hoes shake your ass. put your name in my rap.
So that's it. I hope it was helpful for you and just seeded some thoughts in your head in terms of how do we really embed and ingrain our brands in culture. The new way of engaging with consumers is changing, and we need as brands to really understand what is our tone of voice, what is the purpose, what is the role we want to play in consumers' life, and then be bold, be aggressive, take risk in the way you build your brands, in the way you engage with partners to create content that you can put out there and it's actually worth consuming. So I think my time is now done for now. I'm going to be outside here for a few minutes. We can engage on the breaks, but it was great to be here, so thanks.
Thank you very much, Mauricio. That was fantastic. What a
Thank
start
you.
to the day.